Hello, beautiful people, wherever you are. Welcome back. It's back again to the root of today. Here at on One Live. Today we have a good episode that's gonna be coming, and today we have much of the details on why you call yourself a man of yourself, but God for every one of us. And what is going to have today? We have much of the remix that's gonna be covering to this kind of an extent. It's called Quit Race or Quit Rat Race of the Fake Friends. Where is this kind of the titlement coming from? Today we have much of the analytification for you to learn, for you to get and associate and differentiate on the downfalls of much of the YouTubers from this kind of the extent point. Because today I'm coming out to this kind of the point to make sure that everybody is getting and not accusing and allegations to much of the people who are not putting the point. What do I mean in terms of this extent? I mean by much of the people who don't have anything to talk out, anything to spill out, that the ones who are accused, that the people who are ever struggling to make a living, whatever small comes, it's called a man-eat-man society. What do I mean? I saw a video yesterday coming from Mayugno one-on-one. This kind of the video, it was called the quit race or the quit rat race of fake friends. Where does it come from? Today, I want to give you a full dedication and a full report in this journey. So if you're first time subscribing and liking and sharing, so they can just groove together as a team, as much of the history, it's gonna be developing and coming out very fantastic. You know, guys, when the YouTube industry came back to Africa, came back especially in Kenya, Nyabuhansi, people were never told that YouTube has an impact. YouTube has an impact, and you have to remove yourself as you are to make it happen. Why are we in this quick rat race? Fake friends in the system. It's only happening in the YouTube. Can you remember? Things started shooting abrupt. Things started going awkward. Things started going bifaultively. In which kind of the manner? The YouTube street from the party that happened unto the villa, and after the party, things started changing from both of the party, both of the people who are on top. And who are the rectifiers? The rectifiers are the people who are coming out with a varied report A to Z, from A to what's gonna be following to B, what's gonna be coming. To the real fact of today we are going to be summarizing this kind of the point, because I've seen much of the people are being thrown into pogroms with the reaction that's always coming. A person, if you are already on the top reach, and now you are feeling that you got to an extent of the hill, and right now you want to come down, you have to face your own challenges while you're coming. Don't accusate, don't pinpoint much of the people you don't even know how they are living and how the life they are passing and why are they here. Both of the people accusing each other that the people who are immigrants to this kind of Nyabuhansi. And why is it happening that way? The people who are living the same area in Nyabuhansi are no longer needed in the platform. They are just accused again and thrown into the requisium of the phantoms of the imbroglio. This is the varied report, and this is the beginning. Fantastic. So guys, we start the point. When we talk about this kind of the YouTubers, we are talking about the team Rindima. Team Rindima talk about Mayugno is one of the former successful YouTubers who ever had the magic in this kind of the industry. We don't know if it was the puppetrism or is it was the jealousy that has got him there, or the ego of the bifault of other people's back man-eat-man society, or it was Jesus Christ intervening the redemption. Mayugno himself had a wife, 2 wives. Let's start with the first wife, who had a kid by the name Precious. And this kind of the beautiful lady, she was the one who was having everything of our boy, MG. When I talk about this kind of the things, how they come, Mayugno has been thrown into the pogroms of the day. Talk about from the team he had been up to right now, what is accusing and coming out. Because when we talk about the wife, the first wife of Mayugno was called Wema. You know about much of the stories, much of the people who have been in the industry. You understand the stories between the first wife and Mayugno up to date. Up to an extent of right now. Yesterday, I saw the video he was just making, talking about guys, I'm in this kind of the big football area or a football field. And I'm here and today and this kind of the days I'm checking on my girl, talk about my kid, like I'm just watching her on a TV. It is not, he was just meaning that it was not every time he has to see the girl. And he was lying to much of the people that he's just waiting for the girl to pass. And if he can grab the girl, it will be another case because he's separated with the first wife. So he's ever going to check on the lady so as he can just get that kind of an influence because the lady was the kismet of Mayugno. Now Mayugno, by faultively, is talking very narcissistic things and they ever chased the mother. So if you don't want the chicken, why do you like the eggs of that chicken? That is the fact. So he has to strategize and talk about what am I going forward for. So he had a team, which is a team Rindima. And the question of today is who is behind the downfall of Mayugno? Let's summarize and know who is really having the hot airs and the hot air races. Where are they developing from? And yesterday I had accusations from Mayugno talking about there's a friend of him who is making sure that he is separating him with the family, separating him from all the accessories he has been ever doing. He has taken out the donors. And also, he is the best friend ever. He has been helping him. Who is this person? We want to trace the person right now. If you're going to be getting the pointer, let's get to the downfall and summarize the points and get what is really coming out so vigorously. And today is today, tomorrow is the cat dying. And what is the pinpointing of the pointless that's going to be coming out? Because much of the people are picked as the fugitives of tomorrow. The fugitives of tomorrow. And which kind of the impact is it bringing when somebody is always talking about this person has taken my people and my fellow friends? Because right now we want to know, before the downfall of Mayugno, who were with Mayugno at that time? We have the people who are there is before the downfall. We had the first wife who is called Wema. The second wife who is now calling herself Vivian by the name Mayuvia. Mayuvia had a kid but not made for Mayugno. That's the point. So the second wife was married with the first girl already. And I don't know how that kind of the match started with 1-0. Which kind of the match matches that match? I don't know. You can calculate. So this, and also they had Team Rindima. They were part of the team before the downfall of Mayugno to this kind of an extent. These were as follows. We had Nico Buddha as the closest friend to Mayugno. And he has been part of the program with Mayugno since ever, until even Mayugno used his own identification cards and identification qualifications in Kenya to buy a land in Kenya and the money was sent for Nico Buddha and even purchased the land under his own entitlement of the ID, so they can just get this kind of a land. They are so friends up to date. The next person is called Kennedy the Remedy. Silent guy. I've never heard much of the rumors east, west, and south. A very loyal girl. And even he was part of the soldierism. Talk about as a soldier who is making sure that he's protecting the assets of Mayugno up to date. He's ever there. He has a YouTube channel called Kennedy the Remedy. And I think for the first time the channel lost, I was still at that kind of the pogromitic area of the villa. And he lost that kind of the channel and started another channel. I understand that kind of the program, how it was. Because the phone was stolen and the channel went. He never recalled the email address that I do use in that kind of the portfolio. The third person was called Ngutu the Widow. Was part of the program of the three, most top-notch Team Rindima. These are the key characters of the Team Rindimas. Others, they were just part of the team to psych it go. Because we have permanent workers, casual workers, and temporary workers. When we talk about the permanent workers, there were this kind of the three men who were so strong in terms of the Team Rindima. This is Nico Buddha, Kennedy the Remedy, Ngutu the Widow. Not forgetting we have another lady who is the sister called Dorina. But she was not part of before the downfall. We are talking about before the downfall. What now is coming? Now the key characters of the downfall. When now Mayuguno has downfalled himself. Who are the key characters of right today? We have Nico Buddha is still key character, still persisting in the platform of Mayugno, and they're still friends. Because in the past, if you ever listened to much of the videos of Mayugno, was ever saying that Nico Buddha, whenever he was struggling to make a living, Nico Buddha was ever taking food and getting them, or just going to get food and he could just bring food to them and to their table because they never had food. So he was part of the fastest, closest friends up to date. So he's still a loyal leader, making sure that Team Rindima, I don't know if it's still persisting in this kind of the downfall. The downfall has started from December 2024 up to date. Because every kind of the point I see the videos coming, we have this kind of the downfall breaking down from December 2024 up to date. From his entitlement from the video as I recorded. We have the second person, Kennedy the Remedy, still persisting in that kind of the downfall when Mayuguno has downfalled already. The third person is we have now Dorina Elisha, part of the program, whenever now the downfall has reproduced right now. And why? I'm going to be coming to the point why she is coming in the downfall and not at the upper fall or the upper grade of the ongoing of Mayugno. Why is she coming down to this kind of the platform whenever the downfall is there? We're going to be coming to analytification of that one. Already we have now to this kind of the character, we had another brother called Kino. Kino was the brother and not muchly, but he's there to psych, not about the top characters. Who is in this downfall and who is in the first uplifting of Mayugno, but not in this downfall of Mayugno. You can just analyze. So we are still on the process. So you can just get the real point, how they are going classified from point to point. We have so many people who worked behind the downfall. We have, I always talk about, we have permanent, casual, and also the temporary. So you can understand there were so many temporary people behind the downfalls. And we had so many people at whenever he was in the extent moment of the breaking news every time and then in the history of YouTube platform in Nyaboansi. From the video, when I analyze, he's talking about he has got a depression. And when I can just give you a small synopsis. One day I met with Mayugno and gave me a story about he was about to commit even suicide to throw himself from the story building he has ever built in his compound until down floor, which is the first floor until down. I talked about you are joking for your life. That's not a space for you to tell us you're going to be killing yourself. No. Talk about you go in a very tall tree, more than 100 feet, and fall yourself. You not tell us your first floor here, you are saying as you want to commit suicide here. Commercially, that is not even recognizable. That one, even somebody can talk about you are a fool. You are not serious about whatever you want to talk. If you are serious about it, I don't know if you could be serious about it. So I saw this kind of the series now coming out called The Quit Rat Race of Fake Friends from Mayugno. And today I had to make sure that I'm giving you the closest things. Why is this kind of an extent coming out of this kind of the quit rat race of the fake friendship of Mayugno? And is coming out at his own downfall and is just preparing his own way, talking about the downfall has come already. Then you're talking about who is behind it. Yet you know yourself who has been part of the program. I've talked about the downfall. He still has Nico Buddha, Kennedy the Remedy, Dorina, she's there, and Kino. They are still available. So when he was in an extant mode, who were there whenever he was in an extant mode? I've talked about in the extant mode, there was the first wife, the second wife was there. Talk about the team Rindima, including Nico Buddha, Kennedy the Remedy, Go to the Window, and also Dorina came in as part of the psyching moment. So point comes here. And to this kind of the clue of the membership that is getting out to this kind of the pointer is that he is asking, who separated him with the family? That is the first equation that is coming, because on the downfall, the family must be inside, and you yourself, who you are downfalled, you have to be part of the program. So when we start about your surrounding, you as a specific person, the surrounding of you, who separated him with the family? Because in the video, he was saying, there's this kind of a friend who ever trusted. And he has separated his family. Which kind of the family are we talking about? When we go clearly to the real points of the day, when we took and we see clearly from the evidentive way that we have, how did it happen to have that somebody is talking about, you have separated me with my family? Which wife? Talk about the first wife or the second wife? Which family are we talking about? The family of you as alone, or the family you including your child and a wife? That's what we are asking ourselves. That is a question mark. But when we go into details about it, we're going to be discussing about the separation. It's talking about this kind of a friend who has separated, and we are still looking. And the title is, who is behind the downfall of Mayugno? When he's talking about separated him with the family, who is this character from this kind of the people I've just talked about before the downfall and after the downfall? Who is behind this kind of the downfall, and is talking about separated him with the family? And we had another character before the downfall, was called Sejo, was part of the program. So to the downfall, Sejo is no longer there. So somebody will have to think critically from the analytification. Who has separated him with the family? And the second, fighting in negative way to get food, which is in the YouTube platform. Who is this person? That is the character we are looking for. And when we go direct to the point and pinpoint and get, Who is this person who is making Mayugno to suffocate himself and get himself like he's going to be committing suicide? Or he's going to be doing something called depression is getting him. Mortality rate is going high. Who is this kind of the person? The next question I ask has taken much of the subscribers and donors has taken unto him. Get the word him from the video. When we analyze, now let's get the 3 people out of the program already. We are getting Wema, the first wife, because when the statement is talking about he has taken much of the donors from him and subscribers. And it's talked about is a him. So we take all the ladies out. We are getting to the real point. We are getting the ladies out. Let's get Wema, the first wife, out. Let's get Mayuvia as the second wife out, which is called Vivian. And let's take Dorina out of this kind of the program. So we come to the real fantastic mode that we are looking for a he who is making Mayugno as a downfall and is making sure that is talking negativity for him to get food. Who is this person? Question mark. Number 4 as the question. Took people who ever supported him and grabbed them and ran away. And is now benefiting from this kind of the supporters who ever supported Mayugno. Who is this person? Is he constructing a house? Because if you take donors, it means that you are benefiting in one thing or another. You can never take donors for you to go and drink beer. You can never take donors for you to go and dance. You can never take donors for you not to invest. Who is this person who has invested from all of these boys? Who has invested? Question mark. That's the question we are asking ourselves. Who is talking bad about him? He's talking about somebody is talking bad about me. He is talking bad about he. We are still at the point of who is talking bad about him. So we are still looking for this kind of the person who is coming out talking bad. Is he communicating verbally? Is he communicating normally? Is he participating or breaking this kind of the legitimate fugitiveness of Mayuguno, how he is, cerebronically and phantomically? How is this kind of the information leaking from one place to another? Formal, informal, we want to get it narrated, storytold. How is it happening? We want to know who is this person communicating to much of the people and talking bad about him. We are at a question mark still. Who is this person? Is he Nico Buddha? Is he Kennedy the Remedy? Is he Kino? Because at the downfall, and before the downfall, we are having a group of people. At the downfall, whenever now he's down, the people who are crying with him as he's going down, they are still there. And they reflect from the upper. So somebody can still quote. We have 2 people who we can misquote, underline. You can get it from the entitlement. The 6th question. The closest people fighting him. And this kind of the person who is making him to go down from the entitlement and from the video is the person who was the closest people ever. So here is talking about people. Let's underline the word people who are making him to go down, and they are talking about him, who are fighting him to go down, who are fighting him not to progress, who are fighting him to be the way he is depressed, who are fighting him to be circumphoniously like a fugitive of the nation. We are at a question mark. Who are these people? 7th, this kind of a person is talking about he is a silent killer who can even detonatively take care of you in a silent module. He can deal with you circumphoniously. with an illegitimate way of getting you out of this kind of the brim point. And is talking about is a silent, talking less. This person is talking less, but is a silent person. Because when you're talking about a person is very silent, and he's part of your downfall, is a snake inside the grass. Is a green snake inside the green grass. So it's a snitch. So what we are looking at, who is this snitch? Question mark. We are looking for. Number 8. This person is the person he oriented to the YouTube street, and he's making sure that he is getting food to feed his own family and other things to happen. Who is this kind of the person we are talking about? So we are just getting to a module whereby we want to be getting to the real fantastic phantom moment. Who is this kind of the person we are talking about at this kind of the moment? Let us now wrap it up, because already we have the characters up to date. Now I want to nullify and unnullify and get to the guiltiness. Who is guilty? Who is obsessively talking about? Because Mayuguno is downfalling and is coming out talking about, oh, I have this kind of the people fighting me. I have this kind of the people have separated with my family. I have this kind of the people who are making me not to go forward. There are people who are making me to feel narcotic. There are people who are making Mayugno to be so crazy. So what do we mean? Now we have a wrap-up right now here. So you can just entail all the questions. We had the questions. So, but before we go to much of the question, the person who ever sacrificed herself to stay with Mayuguno was the first wife. Liked Mayuguno very much. Even Mayuguno himself told me, that's kind of the wife we suffered thick and thin. Thick and thin. And even when he was entitling to give much of the videos are there. He ever said they have been struggling from A to Z with his wife, his wife, to make sure that they are even looking for food over day. And they became to have one child called Precious. One fantastic child who was the blessings to Mayugno every time and every then. Do you know that the lady, the first wife, Mayugno chased, and you can just remember after now getting a lot of money, now the YouTube street had now acknowledged that Mayugno is part of the street. Let's go with him. Now he started appearing like he's the one who is owning Nyabuanse. Owning money. Now you can just walk with how do you it? Sagging clothes. You ever sag and walk like you think about is a buffalo? You think about now is sagging like a buffalo, and is making sure that he's just walking helter skelter ki Babylon ki Hill Selassie style. And Mayuguno ever told the supporters that he is something you can just call a single father. So he was ever talking about I'm a single father A, single father B, single what. And it came to be that Mayuguno was getting much of the support of the talk about the child, and they could get much of the support about it because people liked the child, because he was now telling about he is a single father. Much of the people came in to check upon it, and they were helping much of it. And that is the advantage he took. And now the downfall started. This is the analytification of the downfall. Let's start with this kind of the lady called Vivian. Vivian is, the other name is called Mayuvia. Mayuvia was the second wife and the characters of the downfall. These guys, can you just now understand me? Now we have reached in a wrap-up. These characters have either positively or negatively supported or have impacted something to Mayugno to have his own downfall. Even him, I know he's watching so he can just know, because I have to identify so he can just get the real point about his downfall and who is behind. Number one, the character of Mayuvia. Mayuvia, for the first character, whenever he came in after the first wife, Mayuvia separated Mayugno and his family. Right or wrong? He's the one who distanced Mayugno and his family. That is the key point. That's why now the point of Dorina is coming on. At first, because Mayuvia, when we go back to before the downfall, Mayugno was there as the main character. Wema as the first wife was there. The third person was Mayuvia. She was there before the downfall. And we have Timrindima. Why don't we have Dorina in the before the downfall? Now it comes to this kind of the statement. The second wife, who is Mayuvia, separated Mayugno and the family, including Dorina is part of the family. She was separated from Mayugno, and there is no link between them, no bond was created there, because now there is a middleman, middle lady, who is making sure that is serving him perpendicularly, making sure that Mayuguno is no longer having any kind of the stress. Whenever he talks about this style, baby, the other style is floating down. Baby, I want a cock one. No, I want this one. I want a roaster one. No, I want a dog one. I want this one is ever changing. I want posthumous. I want a legitimate. I want optimistic. I want osmoronic style, and talking about, yes baby, you are the one making me so fantastic, yeah. And do you know that whenever now you reach at a point, now you are farting while your wife is there, or your wife is farting while the husband is there, now you have now engaged in a serious relationship. So that is the fact. Some people can just get me correctly. Thank you very much. So whenever now you understand, whenever I talk about any kind of style, baby, that one is too much. Let's change to this one. And there's some of the actionative things of the nature don't happen this kind of the particular time. That's what I always mean. So, and talk about the mistreatment. This kind of the Mayuvia was having mistreatment of the kid. Of the first wife went, whoever not saw it. And that is the point whereby even Mayugno himself told me, whenever they started Mama Answer construction, talk about the constructing her that kind of a particular house, he got one of the lady from the village who was still a minor, and started engaging and telling her that whenever my child comes, go take my child from that position and go with, he was taking care of that kind of the child at Mayugno's position. When Mayugno married Mayuvia, now the child was taken care of with Mayuvia at their home. Somebody getting me? So there was a mistreatment and the people saw it. And that's why, again, Mayugno started engaging with minors so as he can just make sure that he's entertaining himself before when the first wife went. Point getting to the rich point? Exactly. Now there was a poor relationship between the stepmother and the kid. Very poor. And much of the people had that kind of a hospitality. Even that's what it meant up to the first wife came back. You can just remember that point. The first wife came, but she was not part of the camera. Only Precious was part of the camera. Some people can just entitle and get it. So she was she was not to be part of the camera. Until I'm going to be coming to the point where now everything was on the camera. And how did it happen? For the first wife to happen to be at the camera, what did fall? I'm coming to that point. So when there's a poor relationship between the kid and the stepmother, when it happened, it was so awkward. Oh, myself. What has happened? I know Mayuguno is just watching and talking about who told again too much of this kind of the stories. No problem. I want to be analytifying because I can be analytifier and I can rectify and make sure that you are just getting them. Where are you messing and how the mess is coming? I can calculate for you. So to the good fact which is coming out is now there was something called the love triangle of Mayuvia and the Mayugno sponsors. Much of the people started knowing. Look at when the point it came, now the scenarios were just coming out. So you can now understand between the supporters, people started knowing about who is this, the relationship between the supporters, and so many supporters came out of Mayuguno because of this lady. Because she was ever complaining, I was beaten, I was done this, I was doing this, because of this one, because of this one. Now the distance between the sponsors and this kind of Mayuguno, they started appearing to this kind of the point. So she was the first key character in the downfall. She's part of it. And that is the fact. Is she available? She's now married in Mwanza, Tanzania. She's having her own donors. She's enjoying life in Mwanza, very comfortable life. She's living in with another husband who liked her. Because when the story gonna be coming with that kind of the story. What happened when Mayuguno went to Mwanza and Dar es Salaam? And when they went there, what happened to that kind of the inquisitive that Mayuguno, when they were having their own leisure time, the wife disappeared on thin airs. And the wife went to sleep with another man, the same hotel, the same room they had booked. And when Mayuguno was going back, he met with the wife coming out of that room with the other boyfriend of the beach. What do I mean by that part of the story? You never heard about it. It's gonna be coming because I have the full details on why. And when they came back home, why didn't they stay for even a week? And the lady had to collect everything and go back to Mwanza. Because that's where the life of love is. And why not Mayugno? The downfall had approached. Let's go to the next character. Talk about Nico Buddha. No misargument has ever happened to them. And they're always together. And even because of that friendship between their own broke time, whenever they had not got to this kind of the street of YouTube. So Nico Buddha was part of the program to make sure that he was serving them with much of the food whenever they could not have. So he was one of the fantastic friends who ever engaged in that. So that is the crucial point we can talk about. He is part of the program. We don't have much of he's just playing a role as he's playing a role as one of the sponsorship. They have talked about if they could just not engage because they know themselves where they have come from and where they're just rushing from. So to the Nico Buddha is part of the program. So we have another person called Kennedy the Remedy. He's a cool guy and no bad relationship we have just heard about. Even right now, if you go to Mayuguno right now, you'll get Kennedy the Remedy. He's the one who is staying there to make sure that he's just making sure that everything is just aligned up to the fulfillment of the point, to make sure that he's just guarding that area, doing some cleanliness and looking after the environment how it is. So it's part of the key points to make sure that he's still a friend to that guy. We have Dorina Erisha. She's part of the family falling down because when Mayuguno can fall down, even Dorina Erisha is falling. Why am I saying so? It's because when we see about the first time before the downfall, Dorina Erisha, they were criticized outside because of this kind of the legitimate lady who came in to make sure that separating the family out of this kind of the hilarious moment of themselves to enjoy and make sure that their fathers and the mothers and parents are just staying carbonated out of the brim point. So you understand now, Dorina Erisha has come in when the downfall is there, so you have to categorize herself as part of the downfall because she is part of the program, but she was just taken out and departed from Mayugno during the reign of Mayuvia. You have to understand that kind of the strategy how it was. So another person we have here, we have another man called Ngutu the widow. Between December, I've just put inside Ngutu the window, from December 2024 up to date, he was part of the program because I saw him in the party of Dorina Erisha, whenever she was celebrating her birthday, I saw go to the window and much of the people that were in a live. And the people told me, oh, Gintu, have you seen Dorina Erisha? She's in the live. Yeah, I saw her. It was at night. And during that time, Mayugno was no longer available at his own area, talking about his own villa area. So he was not around. He went to Kisumu. And he had a very cool point that they were talking about. Going to be having a party that they're going to be hitting, whereby you should be part of the program. But Mayugno went with Nico Buddha to Kisumu, but Nico Buddha went and came back. And he came back, he found that very many people are just around around the Mayugno's home, and he just evacuated. And he went and called Mayugno that there are so many people inside. And there's another story coming. Do you know that police were sent to take people out of Mayugno's position when Mayugno ordered that people are filming inside of his house? So why did people were told to evacuate from the house and shoot videos outside of the compound? Gonna be coming with that strategy. Who kicked it out and who spilled the beans to Mayugno that people are filming much of the videos whenever the party was conducted? And do you know that it's the time that now the first wife appeared in the channel of Dorina Erisha giving out the cake? When the cake was being given out to much of the people, Dorina Erisha started with the parents and representing Mayugno. She never gave the wife, which is the first wife, who was available, but Dorina Erisha gave Precious as a daughter that is recognizing Mayugno is available unto the home. You got the point? So you can just know why now the wife appeared in that channel when the feeding and giving out the cake was happening during that kind of the precious moment. And why the police were being triggered to come and evacuate the party and disrupt it out. We're going to be coming to that point whenever we get to that kind of the series. Maybe the second or the third. So when we're going to be coming to from December. And now we are talking about Ngutu the widow. No problem with the boss, and but he has no problem with the boss. But we have the BUT, underline it. Right now is not part of the group. Why? From December 2024 to date, from the video how it entails, let's see the characters of Ngutu the widow as the fifth character in this kind of betrayal in the village. Who is behind the downfall of Mayugno? The fifth person is Ngutu the widow. When we analyze about Ngutu the widow, what does he perform? Ngutu the widow doesn't stick in one position. Doesn't have a specific job for him to do. That is a top mason, is a handyman. He doesn't have those ones. Whatever is available is what he does. He doesn't have a job opportunity. So what? Wanajua. So what I was talking about is the job opportunity is what is making this kind of the people to have limitation. Let me talk about in the job opportunity in Ngutu the widow. Limitation of working. When Ngutu the widow has decided that I don't have a specific job for me to do, I can do whatever is available apart from top-notch, top masons. He was just walking from one place to another, talking about whenever in the villa I saw Ngutu the widow working there. In Nasto, I saw Ngutu the widow working there. In the Lady J's position, I saw Ngutu the widow working there. Mama Ann's, I saw Ngutu the widow. In Alanko Gunmo, I saw Ngutu the widow. In Priska Sagati, I saw Ngutu the widow. In Pasi, I saw Ngutu the widow. So he was working with no limitations. But now where is the limitations coming from? You will not go and work in a space like in Gintu's place because Gintu is part of the program to tell them the truth. You will never work to me. So they were given limitations not to work in this kind of an extent of this person and work in this kind of enclosed environment of ours. Number two, working at Pasi brought out now the poor relationship with the bosses. when Alex was being attacked, where this kind of the phantom calprodistious happens, when now go to the window, stood up and talked about, I will be the witness to witness that why is Alex, I told you the scenario yesterday in my video of yesterday. It was today in the morning. I told you about it. That why didn't go to the window have this kind of the failure? He talked about you're going to be the witness to witness whatever going to be kicking off, and I will go and present, and this kind of the police who are here and the conduct, I'll be there to make sure that I'm the witness who was paying. I was the one who paid Alex, and whatever you're doing is wrong. Then the conduct talked about who are you, and you are the next after Alex, you are the next, and go to the way you talked about now came out wild and talked about, oh, you have this kind of some legitimate stupidity of the failure. Now you have some grudge with me you have never told me. So is now the boss, who is Mayuguno, took the phone and called the master KG and talked about go to the widow was citing people to beat your father, and was disqualified from the team with an immediate effect. And what is coming on? From the point of analytification, you have got the page, and it's talking about betrayal in the village of Mayugno. Betrayal in the house of Mayugno. Who is behind the downfall of Mayugno? Keep it locked. Keep it tuned. Tomorrow, gonna be starting from Mayugno wife reunion. The first wife reunion between Mayugno and the first wife. How did they reunite? And from reunitation, are they together? And who is this person? Who is Mayuguno saying has separated him with the family? We're going to be starting from there tomorrow, so you can just analyze again and know who between this kind of the people is behind the separation of his family. After now, we have the reunion of the first wife with Mayuguno and precious baby. Who is behind the scene of this kind of the character? Coming back soon to you and making sure they're going to be getting this kind of the phantom moment, so they can just enjoy, re-enjoy, and access to know the real factual things that are happening to this kind of the brim point, and you can just analyze and understand what is really coming on. Next episode coming very soon, and analyzing it very fantastic. Subscribe, like, share, comment, so they can just groove together as a team as we just end up this kind of the video right now.